The gut-skin connection. Most people have felt it without being able to explain it. A period of stress that showed up on their skin. A change in eating habits that cleared something that had persisted for months. A course of antibiotics that disrupted more than an infection. The skin responded to something that happened nowhere near it. The connection was always there. It just didn't have a name yet. In the last video, we covered what food does directly to skin. Vitamin C as the cofactor. Collagen cannot be built without. Sugar forms cross-links that stiffen the scaffold. Omega-3 fatty acids reduce the inflammatory signals that break it down. Direct relationships, supply chain logic. But most of what you eat never reaches the skin directly. It passes through another system first. A system of roughly 38 trillion microorganisms living in the gut, collectively called the microbiome. Bacteria, fungi, archaea, and viruses, whose combined metabolic activity shapes, in ways science is only now mapping in detail, what arrives in the bloodstream and what the immune system decides to do with it. The gut does not simply digest food. It processes it, transforms it, communicates with the immune system about it, and sends signals throughout the body based on what it finds. And the skin, as one of the most metabolically active organs in that body, receives those signals whether it was the intended recipient or not. Roughly 70% of the immune system's cells are located in and around the gut. This is not an accident. The gut is where the body's largest surface area, several hundred square meters of intestinal lining, is in direct contact with the external environment. Every meal is an immune event. The gut microbiome is, in part, responsible for training that immune system, teaching it to tolerate what is harmless and respond to what is not. When the microbiome is diverse and well-balanced, that education is precise. The immune system responds proportionately. Inflammation is triggered when needed and resolved when the threat passes. When the microbiome is disrupted, through diet, stress, medication, or chronic illness, the education becomes inconsistent. The immune system loses calibration. It overreacts to stimuli it should tolerate, and that overreaction does not stay contained in the gut. It circulates. The pathway runs through the bloodstream. Gut bacteria, particularly those that ferment dietary fiber, produce compounds called short-chain fatty acids, butyrate, propionate, acetate. These molecules enter circulation and carry anti-inflammatory signals to tissues throughout the body, including skin. A gut microbiome that processes abundant fiber produces abundant short-chain fatty acids. A gut microbiome fed primarily on ultra-processed food produces far fewer. The skin, downstream of that difference, does not receive the same signal. The baseline inflammatory state is higher. The threshold for visible skin disruption is lower. Then there is what happens when the gut lining itself is compromised. The intestinal wall is a single layer of cells held together by proteins called tight junctions. Under normal conditions, those junctions control precisely what passes from the gut into the bloodstream. Nutrients pass through. Bacterial byproducts, in most cases, do not. Under conditions of chronic stress, poor diet, or significant microbial disruption, those tight junctions can loosen. When they do, bacterial components, particularly a molecule called lipopolysaccharide, produced by certain gut bacteria, can pass into circulation. Lipopolysaccharide triggers a strong immune response. The body reads it as a signal of bacterial invasion and responds accordingly with systemic inflammation. Chronically elevated lipopolysaccharide in the bloodstream has been associated in research with several skin conditions, including acne, rosacea, and accelerated skin aging, not as the sole cause, as a contributor to the inflammatory environment in which those conditions develop and persist. This is the biological reality behind the term that the wellness industry has oversimplified into something almost meaningless. Intestinal permeability is real. The mechanism is documented. The leap from leaky gut to every ailment a supplement brand wants to sell is where the evidence stops following. The stress connection belongs here too, because it is one of the most commonly felt but least understood aspects of skin behavior. Cortisol, the primary stress hormone, directly affects the tight junctions of the intestinal lining, loosening them under prolonged exposure. Chronic stress also changes the composition of the microbiome itself, favoring bacteria associated with inflammation over those associated with short-chain fatty acid production. The result is a gut that is simultaneously more permeable and less protective, circulating more inflammatory signals at the moment the body is already under pressure. This is why stress shows on skin. Not metaphorically, not because of some vague mind-body connection, because stress triggers a cascade through the gut that ends in elevated systemic inflammation, which reaches the skin through the same pathways as everything else. The skin is simply the surface where the interior state becomes visible. What actually moves the microbiome in a meaningful direction is less complicated than the supplement aisle suggests. Dietary fiber, from vegetables, legumes, whole grains, fruit, is the primary fuel for the bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids. More fiber, more production, lower inflammatory baseline. The research here is consistent and does not require a particular supplement. Fermented foods, yogurt, kefir, kimchi, and sauerkraut introduce live microorganisms into the gut environment and have shown in clinical trials to increase microbiome diversity and reduce inflammatory markers. The effect is meaningful without being dramatic. Probiotic supplements are more complicated. The evidence is strain-specific and condition-specific. A probiotic that has demonstrated benefit for one condition does not carry that evidence to another. The category is real. The generalized marketing is not. Here is the honest part. The gut-skin axis is one of the most actively researched areas in dermatology, which means much of what is known is still provisional. Causality in microbiome research is difficult to establish. Associations between gut composition and skin conditions are documented. Whether changing gut composition reliably resolves skin conditions in all patients is still being worked out. The direction of the research is consistent. The certainty of the conclusions is not yet at the level of the ultraviolet evidence or the retinol evidence. What is established clearly enough to act on? Fiber, fermented food, sleep, and stress management move the microbiome in a favorable direction. The evidence for those is solid. The evidence for the specific supplement that claims to do the same thing in a capsule is almost always thinner. The skin has always been described as a barrier, something that separates the inside from the outside. The science of the last decade suggests it is also a readout, a surface where the state of the interior becomes visible. What the gut is doing, what the immune system is managing, what the body is holding, it shows. Not always, not immediately, but consistently enough to be worth understanding.